Hi, I'm Rosie Waterland and I'm the editor of the Rogue section at Australia's #1 women's website, mamamia.com.au. Mamma Mia is just a website for women. We've literally got anything that women are interested in, that's what we'll cover. And I think we also respect the fact that a woman can be really interested in reading about what's going on in the Ukraine, and straight after clicking on that story, she'll want to click on a story about what Gwyneth Paltrow just wore before she divorced Chris Martin. Like, we get that women's interests are wide and varied, and we want to just cover all of that. So that's what we try to do. Aesthetics on a website are really important. It's incredibly important for creating a recognizable brand. I really can't stress that enough. Like, if you're trying to launch an online presence, you really have to have a clear and recognizable brand strategy, and so much of that is visual. Like, we don't charge people to come to the website, so we have to have a recognizable brand that people will want to come back to.
Yeah.
And keeping that big chunk of the online marketplace when there's so much competition is really hard. So you have to do whatever you can to stand out and be memorable. I think Mamma Mia's done a really good job of that. On Mamma Mia, definitely it's a weird mix. The really personal stuff that I've written, especially about the early years in my childhood in foster homes and stuff, that always gets a very massive response. And then the TV recaps I do about, like, The Bachelor and Real Housewives, like, gets equally as big a response.
Yeah.
So I guess that's just a reflection of Mamma Mia's audience. Like, they love a whole range of stuff. Anything that's real, they like that really harrowing, gut-wrenching personal stuff. And then they also just like the really ridiculous, silly, hilarious stuff. So they're probably the most popular things. The one thing that makes me really question myself is trolls and commenters. They can be awful. And if you have a few particularly bad experiences, it makes you question everything you write the next time you sit down to write something. Oh, this sounds so wanky, but you have to learn to not let trolls be a part of your creative process. Like, you just can't think about what those kinds of people say. And even commenters, like, you get on Mamma Mia, like, you know, we encourage discussion and debate. We really like it, and we get a lot of debate in the comments, and then our commenters are not afraid to tell you what they think, and it can really hurt sometimes. And for a while, I would be really careful about what I wrote so that I wouldn't offend anybody, and my dream was just to have one post where every single comment was like, Rosie, this was fabulous. But that is not going to happen. Like, that kind of post doesn't exist, and I think as soon as you let go of that, that's when you stop self-censoring. I think that print media is a dying industry, definitely. The immediacy of it is the big difference. I mean, we can get things up within minutes. Like, for example, last year when what's that royal baby's name? George?
Yes.
When Kate and William brought George out of the hospital, it was on the news at 4 a.m. here in Sydney. We had it on Mamma Mia by 4 minutes past 4 because we had a post loaded and ready to go because we knew it was coming. All we needed was the photos, which I took because I was awake, and I loaded them into the post, published it, we had it up within 4 minutes. Women's Day released a special issue of their magazine 4 days later. Women's Weekly was 2 weeks later. All the newspapers had missed the boat because 4 a.m. is after their print deadline, so they didn't get anything out till the next day, by which point the news is over and nobody's going to buy a newspaper with George on the headline when they've already clicked on it on Mamma Mia for free.
Yeah.
So it's changing the way news works, and it's changing the way people consume news, definitely. I mean, nobody wants to wait anymore. And that's why people love online journalism now, because it's about engagement. We put all our posts on Facebook, they're all on Twitter, plus they're on the site. it's like communication via the internet is a two-way street. It's very, very different to the old school one-way kind of transmission of print media, and it takes an adjustment. But you know, if you want these people to consume what you're giving, you have to be prepared to take whatever kind of like message they're throwing back at you. And you know, sometimes it's horrid, but that's the way it is. Start a blog. Don't forget the importance of being your own brand. Like, I know a lot of people find that a really cynical concept, but you just have to do it these days. You need to have a Twitter, you need to have a Facebook, you need to have an online presence that people can recognize and come back to. I mean, as an individual, that's really important. Get yourself out there, I guess.